Hey everyone, Misplayed here. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Final Fantasy 16 game review. I just beat the game on New Game Plus. If you guys don't know, when you originally play the game, it's pretty much like easy mode. And when you get after you beat it, you can have the option to play it again on a harder difficulty, which I'll talk more about later. What I think about that, but yeah, nonetheless, I'll be giving the review on the game. And I'm just going to go ahead and start off with the pros of the game. Basically, the best part about the game is definitely the iconic fights and the scenes, the cutscenes. They're pretty amazing. I think the graphics of the game are very, very good for the most part. There's some parts where I feel like they kind of got lazy with it, but I guess it's understandable. It's not a big deal. But overall, like some of the iconic fights they're very memorable. I love the fight with Titan. It's just absolutely insane. And I really like the fight with Odin. I think the fight with Odin is really cool. One thing I do kind of like about about the combat system is I think it's really like it feels very satisfying. Like when you start off, when you just like are playing, it's really satisfying. Like everything that you just like see and everything you can do. The abilities are pretty cool overall. It's a nice flow and everything. So hats off that. I'll talk more about the combat system later too because there are some negatives to it, and I'll discuss those later. Other things I do like about the game, I actually think the story is pretty cool. I think it's an interesting story. A lot of the time in Final Fantasy, the older ones, they used to always have like a crystal theme, and they kind of went away from that over the years. And this game kind of went back to it, but it has a different take on it. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I think it's pretty cool that they went back to it. I also think they did a really good job of like showcasing all the summons and everything. So yeah, all that really, really cool. So overall, I think that's pretty cool. One thing I do also really like about the game is the side quests. At first, I didn't like the side quests. They're pretty stupid. They're like usually fetching stuff or just doing very basic tasks. But later on in the game, especially like at the end, you'll see that the side quests actually add a lot to the lore of the game. So pretty good. Really, really enjoyed those, and I actually do recommend going through them. I did learn later on that you actually do want to do them as you go through the game because not only do they add to the lore, but they also, you kind of want to keep up with the items that you're getting, and some of them eventually you're not able to do them anymore. So if you're playing through the game, make sure to do them as you get them before you move on with the game. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say for the pros. I do have a decent amount of cons, unfortunately. The first thing is after playing the game twice, through it twice, the game is really it gets really boring. Its combat system is too easy. Literally, you press the same buttons over and over and over again. It's constantly the same type of theme and everything. I don't like how there's no strategy or tactical like gameplay behind it. It's very like hack and slash. You just keep pressing square, you keep attacking. Sure, you want to dodge at some point. Sure, you want to maybe you want to be more careful at some point stuff. But it's at the end of the day, none of that actually makes the game like difficult. It's just kind of like something you can't just keep attacking obviously, but it's super simple. There's no like elemental affinity. You don't have to think about what you're equipping to your player. You don't have to think about anything like that. Everything is linear. Like even you can't even customize your magic. You can't add to your stats the way you want. It's all just linear. You just level up. You get everything given to you. Everything that does more damage is better. Everything that does less damage is obviously worse. There's nothing else to the stat system. The loadout system in this game is something I wanted to talk about. I'm actually kind of surprised about this one because you only have one player you're playing as, right? You only have one player you need to worry about. And yet the equipment system is probably the worst it's ever been because you literally can only equip 3 badges or medals to yourself and your sword, which, like I said, the swords have no variability, right? Like there isn't one that's better for magic or better for attacking. It's all just strength. Everything is the same. It progresses pretty much perfectly with the game. It's pretty silly. And then you have 2 like defensive items, and again, same idea. Pretty much everything is just armor and health. There's nothing else to it. It's kind of silly because they went away from like a lot of the past things in Final Fantasy that made the game kind of, the combat system a little bit more interesting, a little bit more tricky. like you can't get paralyzed. You can't like using a certain element against an enemy doesn't matter, which is really kind of dumb to me. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's very silly in that like aspect. But yeah, the combat system being boring. I'm gonna be real with you guys. There is not a boss fight in this game that's challenging. There just isn't. Like the only thing. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. The one boss fight I would say that was pretty challenging was Odin. And beyond that, the only thing you're gonna have a challenge with is if you put yourself way behind an enemy, like a hunt, and go and do that. And probably only the S rank hunts. Otherwise, you're just gonna have an easy time. Um, just to say how easy this game was, when I started New Game Plus, which is like the hard mode of the game, all New Game Plus is, guys, is pretty much the same game. They pretty much double the level of the enemies, I guess, or just double their like stats and strengths, and just throw them back at you. Like it's the same thing. You're just stronger, and your enemies are stronger. That's it. That's all there is to it, really. It's pretty stupid, in my opinion. I think it was really, really bad, which will lead me to my next point. But nonetheless, just finishing off this point, yeah, it is very, very boring. Like after like you play for a few hours, it's just kind of hard to like just keep playing through it because there's nothing fun about it. I don't know what else to say about that. It's just the way it is to me. So yeah, my next point is the post game content. There pretty much is none. That really upset me. Like I really was hoping for some secret boss or something for a very long time because I was having such a boring time with the game, obviously. So, you know, when New Game Plus came around, I didn't want to look up anything about the game because I wanted to do it all myself, right? And the whole problem with it was like New Game Plus, it's just like, first off, everything is given to you. Like the ultimate weapon, it's pretty much there for you. You just have to unlock it, which again, unlock linearly, right? Like you literally just play through the game, you do the side quest, and eventually you get the ultimate weapon. Like there's no grinding, there's nothing else like that. And like I said, there's no post game content. So after you beat the game, everything is pretty much done, right? Like all your side quests, if you've been doing them as you play through the game, they're all going to be done. Like there's nothing to do after you beat the game. Like, you know, there's no special hunt, there's no secret boss, at least not that I know of. Maybe there might be one. I'm still going through these Chronicle trials, which I actually hate them, and like that kind of goes back to the combat system. But yeah, like nonetheless, like there's nothing. Even the like hunts and stuff, like the so-called secret, you know, I guess the S rank bosses, I consider maybe a secret boss. They're super easy. Like they're literally just the same enemies you fight over and over again, with some new abilities. Like that's it. It's pretty dumb, and yeah, the last thing that I would say also, that I just want to go back to that combat system point. Every time you would lose to an enemy, even like with Odin, like I talked about, I liked the boss fight because it was kind of challenging, and it was, but even when you lose, you're not like losing because you need to think more about what you did wrong. Like you literally are just like, okay, I have to know the attack patterns of my enemy better so I know when to press R1. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. It's pretty stupid in my opinion. I don't know how else to say it. It's a very very like boring game. I wanted to like it a lot. I've played Final Fantasy for a very, very long time. Like I've really enjoyed the series, and I was hoping at like the beginning, like, you know, it didn't really matter much to me because I'm like, okay, just, you know, it's the beginning of the game. But like over time, it gets so annoying, and it's really annoying how they did that New Game Plus thing, because the only thing that made the game challenging for me, like through the first playthrough, was not knowing what my enemy was going to be doing, like, you know, not knowing what their attack patterns were and having to figure that out. But when you play it again, even if they make like buff up the enemies, the fact that they have the same attack patterns, you already know what to do. You already know like how to dodge, you know when to press R1, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I have to say. I mean, the game's not like bad, but I really like just think they should go back to a turn-based combat system, because this just isn't it for me. I'm not a huge fan of these new open world combat systems, except for Final Fantasy VII Remake. I feel like they've just done a poor job. These last two Final Fantasies, 15 and 16. I mean, this is better than 15 for sure, but it's still kind of sloppy. And one last thing that I think I should note, there are some parts of this game that I feel like they weren't really thought out or they weren't finished. One example is I'm pretty sure like when they explain to you like some enemies use protect, for example, so like you can't attack them, and I think in that screen it says something about some enemies they like they might also use shell, but shell is never like used in the entire game, at least not that I've seen. So I don't know where that came from, but yeah, apparently they just put that there. I don't know if they meant to put an enemy with shell, but like they don't even use it in the game. And yeah, that kind of also just says again like there's just no point for that magic spell, because like shell and protect used to be spells you would use for tactical like thinking about how to beat an enemy, but in this game you don't got to think about it. You just go in, you just keep attacking until you win. That's pretty much it. Try to stagger your enemy, keep attacking. There it is. That's all there is to this game. Not much more, and that's really unfortunate. Again, really, really good looking game. Love the iconic fights. I think they did a good story and they did a justice to the game. I do like the more mature like type of Final Fantasy. There's they have like notions to like death, and like they actually talk about like things like that, like very mature like topics and stuff. So yeah, for that it's all good, but at the end of the day I'm not really into the game. After playing it twice now, it's pretty boring. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's just my opinion about the game. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys for watching.